Most people walk through life as beggars of value, completely unaware of the signal they are broadcasting. They lower their standards, they over-explain their decisions, they justify their existence, all under the delusion that if they are good enough, the world will eventually pay them what they are worth. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. Machiavelli warned us about this centuries ago, reading between the lines of power dynamics. No one pays for what is abundant. If you sell yourself cheap, the world will treat you like a bargain bin item. In the brutal game of power, influence, and money, price is not determined by your wallet or your actual competence. It is determined by perception, and perception is a fragile construct forged in silence, distance, and a calculated dose of scarcity. To be expensive is not about having a fortune. It is about dominating the desire of others, because true luxury is never bought, it is interpreted. So, before you try to convince a client, a partner, or an audience of your value, you must learn to behave like an asset that not everyone can afford. Being expensive, even if you are currently broke, is an art form. It has nothing to do with currency and everything to do with the scarcity heuristic, a cognitive bias where we automatically assign higher value to things that are difficult to obtain. Machiavelli understood that value does not come from merit. It comes from control. In our modern society of noise and constant digital exposure, the person who gives themselves away completely loses all leverage. The person who withdraws, who withholds, accumulates power. It is a quirk of our neurology. The human brain stops releasing dopamine when the reward is predictable and easily accessible. We do not desire what we understand. We desire what we cannot fully grasp. This principle, as cruel as it may sound, is the bedrock of all dominance hierarchies. You have seen this play out in your own life. When someone is too available, too eager, too responsive, your interest dies. When a product is offered in excess, its value plummets. Human attention is a market like any other. An excess of supply destroys the price. Therefore, if you want to command money or respect, you must learn to manipulate access, not just quality. You can be financially poor, but if you project scarcity, the world will treat you as a rare resource. You might not have real institutional power, but if you learn to hide your intentions and withdraw at the right moment, your absence will weigh heavier than the presence of 1,000 others. Being expensive is about understanding the magnetism of mystery. The most common error of the weak, and this is a psychological fail state, is believing that to be desired, they must show everything. They strip themselves bare before the world, hoping to be seen, not realizing that desire is born in the hidden places. The astute player reserves themselves. They leave blank spaces in the narrative. In those voids, they allow the imagination of others to take root. The rich man doesn't sell his product. He sells the privilege of possessing it. And that privilege begins with how you offer yourself. Observe the truly powerful. They rarely talk about what they are doing. They do not chase approval. They do not explain their pricing or their choices. They let others guess. The human mind fears losing what it cannot decode, so it attributes higher value to the undefined. The silence of the strategist is worth more than the eloquent speeches of the desperate. Distance is their brand. They don't run away, but they don't surrender either. They become an enigma, and the world pays a premium just to try and decipher them. Think about the psychology of environment. When you walk into a luxury flagship store, nobody is shouting offers at you. No one is chasing you with discount coupons. Everything is still, ordered, almost cold. The salespeople often seem to ignore you. That controlled contempt triggers a deep psychological response. It makes you feel like you are in a place where not everyone belongs. In that instant, expensive stops being a number on a tag and becomes an emotion. The exact same mechanism applies to people. The energy you project determines the price the world is willing to pay for you. Being expensive does not mean being arrogant. Arrogance is actually a sign of insecurity. Being expensive means you know how to administer your presence. It means you do not speak when it is not necessary. You do not offer opinions on instinct. It means your time has an invisible, high cost. Every time you lower yourself because you are afraid of losing an opportunity or a relationship, you lose it anyway. Money, respect, and desire obey the same law. They gravitate toward those who do not visibly need them. This is the paradox of detachment. When you signal neediness, abundance retreats. When you project self-sufficiency, even if it is a fabrication, the environment begins to adapt to your imagined value. Machiavelli would have phrased it this way: the one who appears necessary to others no longer needs to justify himself. If you can engineer the perception that you are a rare resource, a specific niche of one, the world will orbit around you to get a piece of you. But if you run after validation, you become a beggar. The art of being expensive begins with a psychological act. Stop explaining your price. There is something you must understand about the flow of resources. Money does not move toward need. It moves toward certainty. If you doubt your own value, your mirror neurons will broadcast that doubt, and no one else will believe in you. The most expensive mistake ordinary men and women make is negotiating from a place of lack. They accept less because they fear losing everything, and in that act of submission, they confirm their low market value. The astute individual, in contrast, knows how to wait. They master the uncomfortable silence. They do not compete in the market of fear. The secret lies in creating a perception, in learning to say no with elegance, to disappear when they expect you to speak, to not offer yourself where there is no demand. Be selective with your time, your words, and your gestures. Make everything that comes out of you seem scarce, measured, and calculated. People pay more for what appears limited. Even if you have nothing, you can project the aura of someone who is not desperate to have. The game of money is not won by the one who offers the most, but by the one who best manages their image of scarcity. Brands, leaders, manipulators, they all understand this code. Make them perceive you as an exception, and they will pay you as a privilege. The rest, those who beg for attention, end up being useful and forgettable. Do not confuse the two. Being expensive is not about having success. It is about creating the atmosphere of success before it exists. When you simulate value, the world aligns to verify it. When you show need, the world exploits it. It all stems from the same core, the perception of rarity. Every word you speak, every reaction you offer, and every time you attempt to prove a point, you are sending signals about your price. The wise do not seek validation. They understand that silence, mystery, and distance are their most potent allies. Learn from the ancient kings. They did not walk fast. They did not respond to just anyone. They did not lower themselves to explain their decisions. In their world, slowness was power, and indifference was dominion. Today, in a world of constant overexposure, the person who knows how to remain invisible at the right moment controls the narrative. Value is not found in what you do, but in what others believe you could do. Be expensive, even if you are not, because money obeys perceived value. Master the illusion, and the gold will follow your shadow. Do not compete in the market of those who beg. Create your own market. Do not state your price. Make the world guess it. Do not offer yourself to the first person who calls. Let the door have a lock. In the silence of one who knows their worth, there is more power than in 1,000 speeches of someone seeking attention. Remember this distinction. The beggar and the millionaire can wear the exact same clothes, but their energy does not cost the same. One asks, the other chooses. One needs, the other permits. Being expensive does not depend on your pocket, but on your soul. It is in the gaze, the calm, the way you speak or keep silent. That is where your price resides, and if you learn to administer it, the entire world will begin to treat you as an investment, not an expense. The price of a man is not defined by what he possesses, but by what he allows himself to lose without trembling. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Power is not built by accumulating. It is built by selecting. The person who tries to hold on to everything ends up a slave to everything. Conversely, the person who dares to strategically renounce things becomes feared, and there is nothing more expensive than that which inspires respect. Therefore, if you want to be paid more, valued more, and heard more. You must start by renouncing the urgency to be approved. Need is the cheapest signal in the market. Every time you show hunger, the world offers you crumbs. Every time you demonstrate calm, the world offers you the banquet. This isn't magic. It is the law of desire. Money, power, and attraction behave exactly like fire. They are drawn to air, not to dampness. If you consume yourself trying to get them, they move away. If you maintain distance, they intensify. Being expensive, even when your pockets are empty, means not negotiating your posture. It means not running after what is not ready for you, because whoever runs loses power, and whoever waits administers it. The astute player does not chase the result, they provoke it. They do this by controlling their rhythm, their reaction, and their energy. In a world where everyone is screaming, the silence of the one who knows their value becomes a roar. You can be in ruins and still project abundance. You do not need a tailored suit to be respected. You need body language that says, "I am in no rush." Haste is poverty. The one who runs communicates that they are behind. The rich walk slowly because time belongs to them. The one who knows their value does not justify themselves because they understand that their silence is more uncomfortable than their speech, and that discomfort is power. But there is a critical point that few comprehend. The perception of value is not built with words, but with limits. Your boundaries are your price tag. If you allow anyone access to you, if you respond to everything, if you say yes to what does not benefit you, then the market will read you as cheap. Boundaries are not walls, they are notices. Notices that say, "I am not for everyone." That phrase, even if you never utter it aloud, is perceived. It is a frequency. Machiavelli taught that wise princes knew how to feign scarcity, that they did not give all their favor to the people, nor all their affection to their allies, because total delivery destroys the tension of desire. When a king shows himself to be too accessible, his crown loses its shine. Respect is born from distance, not from affection, and the same applies to you. If you want respect, do not seek sympathy. If you want value, do not seek to be liked. The world does not pay for what it loves. It pays for what it fears losing. In business, in love, or in life, the pattern repeats. Whoever gives themselves without strategy ends up exhausted. Whoever offers themselves with calculation ends up coveted. This is not about coldness. It is about emotional intelligence. Learning to dosage your energy is more profitable than any financial investment. People unconsciously perceive your level of internal control. If you do not rush, if you do not despair, if you maintain control even in the face of rejection, you project dominion, and dominion is paid for. There is a trap that the naive fall into, believing that being humble means showing yourself available. But misunderstood humility is economic suicide. Machiavelli knew it. The one who seeks to be loved before being feared will not last in power. The modern translation would be, the one who seeks to please before being worth something will be exploited. You do not have to be arrogant. You have to be inaccessible with elegance. Inaccessibility generates interest. Constant availability generates indifference. Learn to say less, to not recount your plans, to guard information as if it were gold because it is. Every piece of data about you is a coin. Every secret you hand over without purpose is a loss of power. The astute do not talk about what they are doing. They let the results speak. The less they know about you, the more they imagine. And the more they imagine, the more expensive you become. Most people crave recognition, but recognition kills mystery. They want to show their achievements, their relationships, their figures, but every time they do, they lower their price. Rarity has value because it is invisible. Not everything must be shown. Being expensive means dominating information, deciding which parts of you are revealed and which parts remain hidden. That duality is what awakens respect. Remember this: the world is not divided between rich and poor, but between those who know how to impose their value and those who wait for it to be recognized. The first group creates the rules, the second obeys them. If you decide to act expensive, even if you are not, your environment will start to readjust its treatment of you. They will invite you less, ask you more, and observe you in silence. And that silence will be the sign that you have changed levels. Never forget that money does not buy value. It amplifies it. If you are cheap in attitude, money will only multiply your cheapness. But if you are expensive in presence, money will serve as a mirror. Therefore, the change does not begin in the bank account, but in the mind, in the way you walk, in the way you look, in the way you tolerate the void without despairing. Every second you endure silence without asking for approval is a coin the universe registers. Being expensive, even if you are not, does not mean living on appearances. It means mastering the art of suggestion. Suggestion is the language of power. Whoever knows how to plant an image in the minds of others possesses their will without touching it. If you manage to make them imagine you as something not everyone can have, you have already won. The human mind does not distinguish between the real and the symbolic. If you project authority, authority responds. And here enters the paradox that few understand. To be expensive, you first have to stop looking for buyers. The market smells fear. The eyes of the needy betray urgency, and urgency devalues any product, even the human one. If you are not the one deciding the price, others will do it for you. Be the one who imposes the figure. Be the one who looks without anxiety. Be the one who can say, I do not need to sell myself today, because tomorrow I will be worth more. That phrase is not said aloud. It is communicated with posture, with calm, with control. Control is the most valuable currency in the world. Control of time, of the word, of the gesture. Control converts any ordinary man into a symbol of power. Whoever dominates their impulse projects stability, and stability attracts investment. No one invests in the unstable. So even if your inner world is in ruins, feign solidity, not to deceive, but to direct perception. Machiavelli did not speak of empty appearances, but of psychological strategy. The mask is not falsehood, it is armor. In a world that devours those who show themselves vulnerable, appearing valuable is protection. If others believe you are expensive, they will treat you with care. If they believe you are cheap, they will use you without guilt. Decide how you want to be treated. That is why, when I say, be expensive, even if you are not, I am not speaking of pride. I am speaking of survival. Because respect is not asked for, it is imposed, and it is imposed with the calm of one who does not despair to be understood. Let them underestimate you. Let them doubt while they exhaust themselves trying to prove their price. You simply sustain yours. Patience is the greatest investment of power. Money is not in the hands of the most talented, but of the most patient. It belongs to those who do not lower themselves at the first deal, to those who know how to wait for the moment when their value is evident. There is no rush in the game of those who understand power. There is calculation, there is coldness, there is dominion. Being expensive is resisting the temptation to justify yourself, and that, in times of noise, is a form of royalty. Being expensive is not a passing attitude, it is a philosophy of survival. Most live begging for recognition instead of building presence. They believe value is obtained by visible merits, diplomas, achievements. But in reality, value is an atmosphere, a calculated impression. It is the way you enter a room, not the words you say inside it. It is how you behave when they are not looking that defines how they will treat you when they do. Humans are programmed to respect that which respects itself and to despise, without realizing it, that which gives itself away easily. That is why the price of a person is not measured in coins, but in limits. Being expensive is the capacity to say no without explanations. Every time you say yes to please, your value drops. Every time you postpone a no for fear of loss, you are discounting your own price. The one who respects themselves does not need to justify themselves, because respect is not negotiated, it is imposed. Machiavelli understood that power does not need validation. The prince who asks to be loved has already ceded his throne. The merchant who begs to be chosen has already lost the sale. And the man who begs for affection has already signed his weakness. Greatness is not in having it all, but in behaving as if you needed nothing. Because true wealth does not consist of abundance, but of control. Whoever controls themselves controls others. That is the basis of value. If you can dominate your impulses, your responses, your emotions, you become a rare figure in a world of automatic reactions. And the rare is always expensive. When you do not react to a provocation, the other loses power. When you do not alter yourself in the face of rejection, the other starts to doubt their influence over you. And that doubt is gold. Because whoever manages to plant uncertainty in another's thought controls the rhythm of the exchange. Being expensive is understanding that every movement must have a purpose. Do not speak to fill the silence. Do not explain for fear of being misunderstood. Do not seek to prove the evident. The more you defend yourself, the more suspicious you seem. The more you try to convince, the less credible you result. The powerful know this. They never discuss their price. If someone cannot pay it, they simply smile and withdraw. Strategic withdrawal is one of the most elegant forms of domination. People fear losing access to what they perceive as valuable. That is why scarcity is the language of power. I am not speaking of feigning empty indifference, but of converting attention into a privilege. In the moment your time, your words, or your energy become difficult to obtain, the world adjusts its behavior toward you. Supply defines demand. If everyone can access you, no one needs you. If few can do it, everyone desires you. Look at empires, at brands. Look at the individuals who dominate their environment. They have all learned to be expensive, not because they are, but because they seem so. A luxury brand does not necessarily produce the best. It produces the most inaccessible. Rarity, not quality, is the mother of value. And this is applicable to everything, to your relationships, your work, your identity. You do not need to have more. You need to be less available. The one who is expensive does not compete. He waits, observes, and calculates. While others run to be seen, he dominates the rhythm. And that control drives everyone else to desperation. Because the one who controls time controls desire. The anxiety of others becomes his weapon. Let the others rush. Let them make the mistake of speaking first, of offering too much, of selling themselves cheap. You simply watch with calm, and you will know exactly when to move. Being expensive is also learning to withdraw at the peak of interest, knowing when to disappear so that you are remembered more than if you had stayed. Machiavelli advised princes to withdraw before becoming predictable, because predictability kills mystery. And mystery is the magnet of value. When you are always present, you become scenery. When you choose when to appear, you become a phenomenon. Power does not consist of being everywhere, but in knowing when to be there. This applies even to words. Speak less, but say more. Let every word of yours have weight and density, so that every phrase seems to cost effort. In this way, the other person perceives that what they get from you is rare, and, therefore, valuable. Cheap people speak on impulse. Expensive people speak on intention. Do not fall into the trap of excess. Showing everything is a form of poverty. Excess exposure destroys the illusion of scarcity. Money, influence, or attraction evaporate when you exhibit yourself without measure. The elegance of power resides in reserve, in giving just enough, not everything, in allowing the other to imagine more than you show. Because the imagined is always worth more than the seen. And this is where many fail. They confuse humility with transparency. Being humble is not showing your weaknesses. It is not having to prove your strengths. The one who knows himself does not expose himself. The one who dominates himself needs no explanation. And that, in Machiavelli's language, is the beginning of respect. Respect is not asked for. It is provoked, not with force, but with presence. Respect born of fear is ephemeral. Respect born of mystery endures. And being expensive is precisely that. Turning yourself into a profitable mystery. Let others not know if they need you or fear you, if they can reach you or if they have already lost you. That ambiguity keeps them orbiting around you, because desire does not seek answers. It seeks stimuli. And you, if you are intelligent, will learn to become one. Learn from the most powerful animals. The lion does not roar all the time. He roars only when silence has already spoken for him. His mere presence maintains order. That is how your energy must be. Controlled, tense, without urgency. In a world that begs for attention, true power is calm. The calm that intimidates, that disorients, that forces the other to fill your silence with their admiration. But be careful. The art of being expensive is not empty arrogance. Arrogance repels because it reveals insecurity. Calculated silence, on the other hand, attracts because it suggests confidence. Being expensive is not despising. It is choosing when to speak, whom to look at, whom to allow your time. Selection is the signature of value. The cheap is available to everyone. The expensive is for the few. Every time you yield your energy to someone who does not deserve it, you lower your brand, and you are a brand, even if you don't know it. Every interaction, every gesture, every response builds the perception others have of you. Therefore, the first step toward power is not accumulating money, but raising your internal standard. When you change your standard, you change the treatment you receive. And yes, at first, it will hurt. It hurts to see some walk away when you decide not to be so accessible. It hurts to lose the immediate for something greater, but that is also part of the price. Respect costs solitude. Independence costs rejection. Dominion costs patience. You cannot be expensive and at the same time want everyone to understand you. Gold does not mix with mud to be accepted. Let the mud fall away on its own. Machiavelli would have described it like this: power seeks not approval, but permanence, and only the expensive remains. The cheap is consumed, forgotten, replaced. Therefore, even if you have no fortune, act as if you were difficult to replace, because the world behaves according to your projections. If you consider yourself common, they will treat you like a number. If you consider yourself an exception, they will start to see you as an investment. Being expensive, even if you are not, is psychological training. It implies learning not to react from fear, understanding that not every opportunity deserves a response, nor every compliment deserves attention. Every time you ignore the irrelevant, you strengthen your value. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you raise your price. People who do not rush generate intrigue, and intrigue always ends in respect. The secret lies in being inaccessible without being absent, in being present but not available. Let them know of you, but not have you. Let them see you, but not possess you. That emotional and symbolic distance is the terrain where power flourishes, because desire, just like wealth, needs obstacles to grow. If you make it easy, you make it vulgar. If you make it challenging, you make it valuable. So remember this: do not compete to be seen, compete to be remembered. Do not strive to please, but to inspire scarcity. In the game of power and money, the one who shows themselves as cheap becomes dispensable. The one who behaves like an exception becomes the law. Value is not in the crowd, but in the contrast. And that contrast is built daily in the way you walk, in the way you decide when to speak and when to remain silent. Being expensive, even if you are not, is not a lie. It is a strategy. It is the conscious act of molding perception before having the results, because whoever controls perception controls the market. And at the bottom, all markets are psychological. They do not sell products, they sell sensations. They do not buy realities, they buy symbols. You too are a symbol. Decide what you represent. Gold shines before it becomes a coin. You can do the same. Start by elevating your way of being, not your bank account. When the world feels that your time has weight, it will start paying you for it. Until then, remember, the silence of the one who knows what they are worth is worth more than 1,000 words of the one begging to be valued. Being expensive, even if you are not, is not a pose. It is a positioning strategy. It is understanding that every interaction, every look, every word is an investment of energy that has a return or a loss. The naive hand over their emotional value to anyone who asks for it. The astute administer it like a banker administers gold, because every delivery has a cost, and the one who does not calculate it ends up empty. Human relationships function under an invisible economy. Affection, attention, respect, everything is bought and sold, even if no one admits it. The one who gives without science impoverishes. The one who dosages enriches. Machiavelli did not speak of love as a pure feeling, but as an instrument of power. He understood that the strongest bond is not that of passion, but that of control. Being expensive in relationships does not mean being cold, but understanding that the value of your presence increases when it is not guaranteed. The most common error is believing that unconditional affection is a virtue, but in practice, the unconditional is not respected. What has no conditions loses value. Love, friendship, loyalty. These only stay alive when there is a tension, a frontier, a possibility of loss. Without that frontier, the human becomes habit, and habit destroys desire. Being expensive is placing limits even on affection. It is not about manipulating, but about protecting yourself. If everyone can access you at any moment, you end up diluted. Respect is preserved with distance. Continuous presence devalues just like an inflated currency. It is absence that reminds the other of your price. Look around you at work, in friendships, in family. You will see how those who show themselves too available are always the most utilized. Their time is not respected. Their words are taken for granted. Their generosity becomes a debt. Meanwhile, those who know how to withdraw, those who say no, those who do not explain, become figures of reference, not because they are better, but because they are less. The world does not pay for abundance. It pays for rarity. Ultimately, being expensive is a form of self-reverence. It is the conscious act of treating yourself as if you were a unique piece. And when you do, the world starts to imitate your treatment. People unconsciously perceive how you perceive yourself. If you move with urgency, they will offer you crumbs. If you walk with a pause, they will offer you terms. Speed belongs to those who serve, slowness to those who govern. The error of the weak is trying to justify their value with visible effort. They work double, speak more, promise more, believing this will convince. But excess demonstration is camouflaged desperation. Those who dominate money and respect do not demonstrate. They provoke curiosity, and curiosity is a silent debt. Whoever looks at you without understanding you is already paying for your mystery. Learn to master the non-verbal language of power. Do not explain, do not repeat, do not justify, do not rush. Every word that comes out of fear lowers you. Every gesture that is born of control elevates you. The apparently rich and the truly powerful differ in this. One seeks to impress, the other seeks to impose rhythm. Being expensive, even if you are not, is a daily training. It starts in the mind, reflects in the body, and consolidates in the environment. Start with small acts. Do not answer immediately. Do not reveal your plans. Do not apologize for having standards. Do not seek to fill the silence. That silence is your most valuable jewel, because in it, the other projects their desire, their guilt, or their need. And while they project, you control. Machiavelli did not speak only of politics. He spoke of perception. He knew that the image dominates more than the truth, that the people do not love the one who deserves, but the one who represents what they wish to be. Therefore, being expensive also implies representing something bigger than yourself, an idea, a symbol, a promise. Do not sell yourself as a person. Sell yourself as a concept. People compare themselves to individuals. They venerate concepts. Do not be just another individual. Be a reference. When someone thinks of control, let them think of you. When someone thinks of silent elegance, let them remember you. When someone thinks of dominion, let them fear you a little. That is a brand. That is power. That is being expensive. But remember, true luxury is not in what you possess, but in what you can reject. The beggar accepts everything. The king selects. The capacity to say no is the invisible limit that separates those who ask from those who choose. Every time you renounce something that does not elevate you, the universe raises your price. Being expensive requires not material wealth, but temperance. Wealth can be lost, temperance cannot, and temperance is trained every time you resist the impulse to lower yourself. There is a form of power that is not shouted or presumed. It is the authority of the one who knows they can leave. The one who can walk away commands, the one who cannot obeys. It is that brutal, that simple. Therefore, every time you are in a negotiation, in a relationship, or in a job, repeat this phrase mentally. I can leave whenever I want, even if it is not true yet. That phrase changes your energy, your tone, your posture. The other will feel it, and in that instant, you are worth more. Money obeys perceived value, and perceived value obeys self-control. That is why those who earn the most are not the good ones, but the scarce ones. Those who control less sell themselves out of urgency. Those who control more sell by selection. Abundance, just like respect, is a consequence of internal dominion. If you manage to seem expensive when you are not yet, the environment will reconfigure until it confirms it. That is the paradox few understand. Perception precedes reality. The market, love, and power respond to signals, not to truths. And if you learn to emit the correct signals, the world will pay you as if you were already what you imagine. So, do not wait to have success to behave like someone valuable. Begin now with what you have, where you are. Walk like someone who does not fear losing. Speak like someone who has already been heard. Decide like someone who seeks no permission. Every gesture of yours must say, I am scarce. And when the world believes it, you will be. Being expensive, even if you are not, is not a costume. It is a transition, a psychological transformation that precedes the visible result. First you believe it, then you project it, and finally you collect it. That is the path of power. That is the alchemy of value. And if you ever doubt, remember this. Gold, before being a coin, was just a rock shining in the dirt. What made it valuable was not its nature, but the collective belief in its rarity. Do the same with yourself. Become rare, become difficult, become an exception, because the day you understand that your price is defined by you, no one else will ever haggle with you again. And when that happens, you won't need to prove you are worth it. The world will assume it as a fact. That is the silent triumph of the astute, the one who does not seek to be accepted, but coveted, the one who does not run after money, but makes money run after their presence. Machiavelli would have summarized it with a smile. The one who dominates perception dominates the gold. So do not wait to be expensive to seem it.